The Friendship War, Chapter 6, Strange Galaxy. It's second period on Wednesday, and Hank whispers to me. Again. I can't tell what he said, but I nod anyway. Again. We're sitting in the front row of the auditorium, and I'm turned halfway around in my seat so I can see the other kids as they arrive for our first sixth grade assembly. I need Hank to stop bothering me because I'm on a mission, counting buttons, and also keeping a running total in my head. 341, 49, 352, 355. When I can't quite see, I have to estimate. Flannel or long sleeve shirt, 8 buttons. Button, front, sweater or short sleeve shirt, 6 buttons. Pullover, polo shirt, 3 buttons. Pants or shorts, 1 button, maybe 2. Skirt, 1 button. T-shirts, sweatshirts, and sweatpants, 0 buttons. Hank pokes me with his elbow. Mrs. Lang is looking at you. Here she comes. I hear him, but I keep counting anyway. Grace, face forward. This is not the time or place for socializing. Under my breath, I say, 363. And then I turn, sit back in my seat. I look up at Mrs. Lang. Sorry, except I wasn't socializing. I was collecting data. She frowns and shakes her head. Eyes front. That's our assembly rule. I always feel sorry for teachers at assemblies. Seems like they're trying to show the principal and all the other teachers how their kids are just about perfect. But that's only a theory. Mrs. Lang walks on, her clipboard gripped in the crook of her arm, and I notice she's wearing pants, a collared shirt, and a sweater. That's at least 15 buttons. I want to turn around again to try and pick up my button count, but I don't dare. It's too early in the school year to risk getting on Mrs. Lang's bad side. I've got her for homeroom, plus math and science. Although maybe Mrs. Lang doesn't really have a good side, then it wouldn't matter, right? Another interesting theory, but I don't want to test it. Not today, at least. Instead, I tried to estimate how much of the sixth grade had already arrived in the auditorium when Mrs. Lang had made me stop counting. Probably about 2/3. So, if the first 2/3 of the kids were wearing about 360 buttons, then the remaining 1/3 would be wearing about half that many, another 180, which means that today the whole sixth grade is wearing 540 buttons, approximately. Of course, those are just the buttons on the clothes that the kids are wearing right now. There are a lot more buttons on all their clothes at home, the shirts and the pants and the jeans and the shorts and dresser drawers, plus the skirts and other clothes on hangers and hooks in the closet. And then there are buttons on everybody's coats and jackets and raincoats. To get a scientific count on the sixth graders' buttons, I would have to ask every kid to go home, study all their clothes, count every button, and then fill out a form for me, which isn't going to happen. Besides, this sudden urge to count buttons, I know it's only a distraction, something I'm doing to keep myself from worrying about what might happen at lunchtime, right after this assembly. I almost never wake up early, but this morning at 6:15, I sat straight up in bed, sweating. I've been dreaming about snowboarding down a mountainside, and then an avalanche broke loose above me. And suddenly, the rushing hillside of snow turned into a towering wave of buttons trying to sweep me under and bury me. And at that moment, I got myself fully awake. I started to worry about lunch and buttons and the Ellie effect. My thoughts keep spinning, and I begin to wonder how many buttons there are on the clothes of the other kids at school today, and the teachers, too. And beyond the school, there are the parents of the kids at home or at work with buttons on their clothes, plus all the rest of the people of this town and this state and this country and this continent and this hemisphere. Oh, and this planet. And what about the buttons on all the clothes, the bodies buried in the graveyards everywhere in the world? Gross. but true. That would add up to billions and billions more. I feel dizzy, and I tip my head back and stare up at the ceiling of the auditorium. It's like I've accidentally pointed a telescope toward a strange galaxy, and instead of stars and planets, I'm looking into the endless new sky filled with buttons. The assembly begins, and the principal's at the podium on stage, waiting as the room gets quiet. Your teachers and I have known many of you for more than 5 years, and we are so excited about the amazing year we've planned. It's going to be demanding, and so far you're doing great. All of us look ahead together, and I'm hoping that Mr. Porter keeps talking. But as I'm having trouble listening, because my hands are cold and it feels like I have a knot in the center of my stomach. I hate getting upset about anything, but to feel this upset about buttons, it's not even logical. Because really, who cares about buttons? No one even ever thinks about buttons. Unless one pops off and your pants fall down. I saw that in a cartoon, but there's no reason why it couldn't happen in real life. A button pops, gravity pulls, and pants fall. It's basic science. Simple cause and effect. Cause and effect! The first time I heard that phrase was during a second grade science lesson. It means that nothing happens without a reason. It means that events can always be studied and understood, which is so comforting. And suddenly I'm absolutely sure that what I need here is more than scientific thinking, more understanding, and less emotion. Except right now, I understand the cause of my worries perfectly, and the anxious feelings are only getting worse. Why? As soon as this assembly is over, I know that I'm going to stop by my locker, grab a backpack full of buttons, and then go to the cafeteria with my best friend, whether my stomach likes it or not. The end.